Are you guys? You guys are actually brothers?
Yeah,
Okay.
we are. Yes,
Oh.
I'm the oldest of 10. Ian is the youngest brother, but second youngest. Yeah, kid.
All right. Utah's
Yeah,
making sense now.
That's not where we never lived there growing up. Arizona's where we lived.
Okay. We'll just see how where the conversation leads us.
Yeah, I like it.
All right.
Cool. All right, are we ready? Let's just light this candle in 3, 2, 1.
You're watching Diecast Breakdown with Chuck Ellis, David Johns, and Mark McHotwheel. So sit back, strap in, and hang on. The breakdown starts now.
Hey there, folks. Chuck here, and welcome to Diecast Breakdown. I'm so glad you're here. And you know who else is glad you're here? All the patrons that help make this show go, because they're giving us money, so they better appreciate you sticking around. Those people would be First and 64th Customs, Dane Self, DrivenDreams.org, Elevation Diecast Racing, Jason J. Goldenberg. I owe you an email, Jay. Lewis, Big Lou Tanahara, Mad Visions, Reviews Through Another Lens, Mr. Twice Diecast, thank you, David, and Video Geek Productions. That is far too many people giving us $20 a month, but we can always use some more. And if you want to join their ranks at that level, or even as low as $3 a month, you can visit diecastbreakdown.com or click the little join button. And while you're visiting diecastbreakdown.com, be sure you go over to drivendreams.org, where we're raising 25,000 cars for kids in need in 2025. Don't need to lick a stamp. You don't need to send a check. All you have to do is believe in yourself. And then after that, go buy some cars.
A little bit more.
If only it were that simple. But no. And keeping me on the rails tonight is my co-host, my colleague, my friend, Mr. David Johns. David, how are you today?
I'm good. It feels like, Chuck, it's going to take a little bit more to keep you on the rails tonight, but we're here for it.
I am a little slap happy. We're recording this over Memorial Day weekend, and I don't know what day it is. Do I go back to work tomorrow? Who knows? Who cares? I went to my old house literally today, driving around, and was just off somewhere and found my way.
True story, folks.
Yeah, found my way to the wrong house. I was like, when did we paint the garage door? Oh, right, we don't live here anymore. Anyway, I am super stoked. I've had these people on my radar for a while. As a customizer, I have really admired a lot of the work from this channel and from its creators. And you know them, you love them. They're at every diecast show and event. I don't know how they do it, but they're always there. And we've got
tour de force.
A tour de force, yes. A dynamic duo, if you will, although there's more than two. I don't know. We'll talk about it.
There's 3 of us, but we'll go with 2 for now.
We'll go with 2 for now. We're joined by 2 of the 3 tonight. You may also know Warren as G-Funk Retro. Did I say that correctly?
That's right.
I believe I did. Nice.
It
hey,
rolls
look
off
at me
the tongue.
doing my homework. G-Funk Retro. On the YouTube and the Instagrams. Some amazing customizers and some all-around real cool dudes. When it comes to the world of diecast, they've got incredible collections, and you can catch them streaming on all your favorite streaming services. I believe you stream on YouTube and Instagram, correct?
Yeah, we dabble in a little bit of everything.
All right, you're going to see them streaming all over the place. They're streaming, they're screaming, they love tiny cars, as do we. So we're going to talk about those today. Ian, Warren, thank you for joining us on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having us. And we typically, there are 3 of us. We have, 4 of us. So we have James, or Dr. Fly Fisher is our other brother. He couldn't make it. And then we got my best friend growing up, Yabra. He couldn't make it either. But so when you're talking about those conventions and being out and about, usually there's 4 of us. And yeah, but we appreciate you having 2 of us on.
Oh, well, absolutely. And hopefully we'll get the rest of the crew at some point in a future episode. But we appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us. And I wanted to ask you about some of those videos, because there's
me too.
A bunch of y'all doing really fun sketches
and skits,
and you're dressed as Men in Black at one point, and we're going to talk about all that today. But before we get started, let's talk a little bit about the Weber brothers in general. where y'all came from and where the tiny car love started.
So I started collecting, I guess, back in the 80s. I had a little box of a little box like this. I can show you something like this.
Yep.
This is what I had, and I had my collection in there. And then over the years, you lose them, you forget about them. And then I guess one of my hobbies, one of the things, my passions is to go thrifting, to go do garage sales. I've always liked doing that. And every now and then I would pick up a car here or there or something from the 80s that I was like, I used to have this car at one point, and
Nostalgic, right?
Yeah. And so it went into a shoebox up in the closet, and over time it grew to 30 or 40 cars. And then one day I was looking at them, and then I actually cleared off the top shelf, and then I laid them all out. And so every time I went into the closet, I could see my little collection there. And it stayed like that for a number of years during moves and stuff. We moved from Arizona to Utah, and then later on up to here, Washington State, where I live. But that shoebox of cars always was somewhere, right? Like I knew where it was, or I'd come across it. And so I would say I was like a closet collector. Like I always had some sort of little passion for it. I just didn't really know what to do with it. And then Ian, well, he can tell you his story, and James one day can tell you his story. But he brought up this idea of the convention, that there's a convention in LA, and that he's like, this year I want to go. And so it was me, James, and Ian at the time. We are like, okay, let's go. Let's try this thing. That opened my eyes to what you see now. And I came back from that convention with like 40 cars. Like I was not expecting to buy, because you can buy convention cars, and then obviously there's thousands of rooms that you can just shop until you can't shop anymore. And that kind of is where it spawned, and where it kind of took off, and all the cars that were in the closet that came out, and then this space started to get filled. And so this is where we are now. And now I've gone down a bunch of roads, and when I say go down a bunch of roads, like I collected a bunch of premiums at one point, and then I stopped collecting those because that road never ends. And then I just started collecting certain ones and certain castings. I will show you my
Warren, hold on, before you show that one. So the thing about Warren is that like he gets fixated on a casting that he really likes, and then he goes down the rabbit hole of trying to find all of that casting. It's been a lot of fun to watch.
Well, he clearly hates the GMC RV.
Yeah, exactly. Hates that one.
Yeah, that was one road I went down.
Check all the boxes, but there's the few 3 or 4 or 5 castings that are a staple. Then everything else, he's like, all right, I've found them all. Now I'm going to move on. But go ahead and show that one, Warren.
Yeah, so this is actually my favorite casting, the Thunder Roller.
Heck yeah.
And I have 12 of the 13 versions or variations, and I've even gone to certain lengths to even customize them. And so this is a record that I made last year. So yeah, it's just we talk about it weekly. The roads will go down, and then like, okay, I've filled that one. I've found that one. What's next? The collection is always evolving, and I'd say getting better and better. But it's like, what can I do now to stay in it and keep it going.
Back with more Diecast Breakdown after this word from our sponsors. Legendary Hollywood concept artist and designer Fireball Tim Lawrence has created 3 exclusive pieces of automotive art based on the 3 hosts of Diecast Breakdown. Get these and other brilliant designs printed on mugs and more at fireballtimgarage.art today.
Diecast Heads magazine is a digital publication dedicated to enhancing the lives of collectors all across the world by providing information on new models, reviews on brands and diecast accessories like figures and dioramas, throwing light on customizers, photographers and people who contribute to making the diecast world vibrant. Subscribe to Cast Heads for free and look for collaborations with Diecast Media Network at castheadsmagazine.com.
And now back to Diecast Breakdown.
Warren, real quick, what year convention was that? And before you went to that convention, are you saying you basically had your shoebox and that was it? And now that's what we're looking at after the convention?
Yeah, so 2022, Ian, right? That was our first year.
We've gone 3 years out there.
Oh, wow.
So backtrack, yeah, 22.
So 3 years ago,
23 and 24. Yeah.
3 years ago, that room was nice and clean.
It was nice and clean. This wasn't even the Fifth Avenue garage back then. That's what this is called. This was just a little storage room, and I can pan the camera on a little bit so you can see this. My wife got me this.
Oh, nice.
So I blame her that's all the 80s stuff. I blame her for, not just Ian, for spawning.
Before the Hot Wheels room, it was Harry Potter's closet. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
That's right.
I mean, obviously, it's not your fault. That's what we need to get established.
That's right. It's not my
right.
fault.
The case
so
this building.
Yeah, a little bit more. So I get asked often how long I've been collecting. Pretty much forever. I quit opening them, I don't know, 10, 12 years old. Our dad was a collector of things, and so I became a collector and didn't want to wreck the package and whatnot. Go to college, and same thing. I had maybe 3 or 4 boxes in my closet, and I would just kind of add to it here or there. In fact, when I met my wife, she's like, or years later, she's like, I had no idea when I first met you that you were obsessed with Hot Wheels, because they were all in the closet. They're all tucked away, the collectibles. And for a long time, I was like, I want an office or somewhere that the situation room, as we call it, that we can have all the Hot Wheels up and display them.
Very nice.
So then you fast forward. It's ironic because I lived in Washington. Warren was in Utah. I moved down to Utah, and then us 3 brothers would go collecting and again hit the garage sales or whatever to try and find more die-casts and whatever that we were collecting. And then he moves up to Washington and I stay here. But it was pretty cool. So there's a big gap between us in age. And so we were able to kind of like spark that, closer relationship when I moved down here. And a lot of it was centered around diecast. And then now with Warren moving away, we've been able to keep that connection close. We do our YouTube streams. We try to go to the conventions. Usually it ends up being Vegas and LA, although next year Dallas sounds really appealing for us. We're itching to get out to a nationals. So yeah, I mean, it's a great hobby, great community, and we get to do cool things like this and meet with other cool people. So,
well, I'm very flattered you think this is a cool thing.
Yeah,
we're doing our best here. So you were mentioning before the show, y'all have quite a few siblings. So out of all of them, only 3 are in the hobby, or does anybody else collect? Or
only 3, but they're all aware, and they'll send out text messages. Hey, do you want this? I found this.
Aren't those the best?
Yeah, you got you got a whole network.
Yeah, it keeps. My brother is always sending me like, "Hey, I saw this in Kroger. Is it good?" Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. Warren, do you got that blue Thunder roller, the mail-in?
Oh, I have it.
So
you want me to find it?
Yeah,
real
pull
quick?
it out. So a quick story about this one. So I was living up in Spokane, and I'd been collecting for years, but I didn't hear about the K-Day. Again, this was kind of like before the internet. I mean, we had internet, but like I wasn't going that deep into it. And I was working for the radio station at the time. I was over at this other city in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and so I was working, and I heard about K-Day, and I was like, oh, I'll show up. So I show up to K-Day, excited to look through some cars, be able to get the mail in, and I'm the only person there until about 10 minutes before it started, maybe 5. And then about 40 people show up. I'm bombarded by everybody, right? And I don't get picked. I don't get to go through cars. I did pull 20 cars to get the mail in. So it's actually up on my wall. That was my first mail in that I pulled or submitted for. That one.
Not that one.
Yes, that one. Yep. So it was at that moment when I missed out on K-Day and everyone brought their families, their kids. Now, by the way, like I'm all for it. I'm all for the family environment. But what the world didn't know is how large my family is. And so if you can't beat them, you join them. And so the next K-Day,
10 of them.
I hit up everybody. I said, mount up, Webbers, let's go. And across the West Coast, we hit all the Kmarts. I got e-sheets for days. I got mail-ins. We're pulling supers. And that was a little bit of a spark as far as Warren and James as well. And and at that point, then now it became, like you're saying, like my sisters don't collect, but they're well aware of what to look for. And as they're looking for cars and things for their kids, they're looking out for us too. And that also goes to like sweepstakes. Think about that. The twin mill, right? The mobile one, twin mill, the white one, the gold one, or back in the day, sorry, my stand just came up. Back in the day, they had the Camaro. You could like submit for the blue Camaro, right? In the acrylic. And I had all my family do it. And I ended up pulling like 6 of them, which is like wild. Like people are like, you had 6? I'm like, yeah, because we had a gang of winners. So it is definitely a family affair.
Nice. Yeah, my brother's always keeping an eye out for me. The other day, speaking of Thunder Rollers, it wasn't the other day, it was like 6 months ago, but he texted me from an antique shop and somebody was selling a bunch of the metallic maroon Thunder Roller.
Those are great for customs, man.
Yeah, exactly. Selling them for $1.50 a piece on the card. There it is.
All day.
And I was like, yeah, give me 3 of those. Because those are that is a custom dream right there. Because the Thunder Rollers get even that one. I know that's one of the later ones that's not as desirable, but it's still, like you said, great for customs. And I have a soft spot for that casting as well, because it's about the closest that Hot Wheels got to a actual 164 scale semi truck for a long time.
Yeah.
And I still have a little bit of a pet peeve for that exclusive Optimus Prime that they did. That was it was actually like 1/80th scale. It was a 160.
Let it go.
I have to let it go. I know they were doing it because they were doing it Hot Wheels style and they wanted it the same width of the track and all that stuff. And that's what makes it an actual Hot Wheels. But the Elite semi truck is not. It's actually true 164. So if they could do it with that, they could do it. And all right, I'll let it go.
Yeah.
David said
there's definitely, especially with die casting, there's a lot of cars and whatnot that we want made, but we want it made a pretty specific way. And if they do it wrong, the biggest one for me for years was the McLaren F1. I said, please make a McLaren F1. And then to have a RLC, like I was blown away. Like I could not, and it was burnt orange because I played Need for Speed growing up, and that was a car you unlock, like the cheat code car. Like I could not believe it. Right. And then we get it, and the doors are absolutely garbage.
Yep.
Now, of course, we all go to the conventions, and I think it was in Vegas, talking with Brendan, and I'm like, bro, like talk to me. He's like, oh my gosh, they pulled back production on the F1 for like 3 years because they were trying to figure out the doors and get it. Maybe they needed Ron in there a little bit sooner to be able to figure it out. I don't know, but
that was a disaster.
Yeah. But it's funny because it is a disaster, and it's one of my favorite cars up on the wall.
Sure. Well, it's got an interesting story to it. There's always these really interesting things, like this last year at Diecast SuperCon with the Jada show exclusive being botched and them only having a few of those to give out. And so everybody, like, it worked in their favor, I think, because everyone was talking about it and everyone was trying to get these ones that had these not quite perfect packages on them because, hey, that makes them even more rare and more interesting.
Yeah, it's an error.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's an error. It's just like
it'll be sold as an error.
It'll definitely be sold as an error for sure. So
I think you have that fine line between collector and scalper, or like how you're, and that there's the ongoing debate. You see someone at the pegs pulling off cars, and are they friend or foe? Or is it someone that can talk cars with, or is it scalper that is looking for that green stripe to just the symbol to flip or whatever? So yeah, I don't know. I mean,
yeah, it's we've talked about that on this show before, and it is a good point, because if you're a collector and you come across stuff, it doesn't hurt to have that as something you can trade or as something that you can give to your friends. So like if I come across a bunch of Zamex or something, even something as simple as that, like I did recently, I had a weird thing where I showed up at a Walmart and it was the Texas Toot, which is not called that, the AutoZen or whatever.
Yeah.
The 53 Chevy and the Jeep Cherokee. and they had like 23 of one and 35 of the other in Zamek. And I was like, huh, that's the. I took like 5 of them and left, but I was just like, yeah, I mean, I'm not even really a Zamek guy, but I have friends who are, so I wouldn't consider that like scalping if I'm picking up a couple that I can go, oh, well, I can take this to a convention and use it as a trade or something like that. Or
well, and I bet you if I was next to you and we see it at the same time and there's 30 of them, you'd be like, yo, man, you can have something.
Exactly.
But then there's those people that are like grubby hungry, like
throwing hands. So I got to ask, gentlemen, because what I saw of your footage in Vegas was pretty deadgum impressive. Looks like you guys had a plan, and I think it was executed. Tell me about the mission statement for going to the SuperCon last year, or this past February. You didn't just go. You guys pretty much, it was a Weber takeover. So tell me what the plan was when y'all went to Vegas.
I'll take this one.
He's the man with the plan.
This was my plan, was to repeat in the cornhole competition.
Okay.
I say repeat because me and Ya won the first, or won when we went. So last year, well, not was I guess a year ago was the first time that we all four went together.
Yeah.
Ian had gone before, James had gone. But so me and Tony, we actually won the cornhole competition, and you get to when you win that, you get 2 cars, a 1 of 1 and a 1 of 2, right? As winners.
Mm-hmm.
So my main focus was to go there to repeat. Mm-hmm. But this year we had to then face our own blood because James had come a day late last year, so he couldn't make it. So Ian had to scramble and try to find a partner. And mind you, this is 30 minutes after we walked on site. Like, they were literally starting this thing. And so me and Tony partnered up. Ian had to find somebody off the street. He didn't really, I don't even know if he spoke English, but that's why I went this year. Again, that was one reason, but was to repeat, which we did. So now we have two of the 1 of 1s, and they're both up here in Washington. So there's a lot of events that you get to do there besides that, and so it's a good time.
I do want y'all to talk about your experience, but Ian, I want you maybe to piggyback, because what I was going for was not everybody was wearing suits and matching sneakers and doing videos, dancing videos. So tell us all about that.
Thank you. Yeah. So to Warren's point, we all have something that we like doing at these conventions. I go 100% for the customs. So, well, not 100%, but that's like my main focus. In fact, that's why back in the day I started going, or wanted to go, was I build and I spend all this time and I don't have a place that I can compete and showcase. And if you know anything about the Webers, is we are really competitive. So whether it's downhill racing or customs or cornhole, it's like, let's go, let's play. That's what happens when you have 9 siblings and you're fighting for seconds. You know what I mean? Who can get seconds first at the kitchen table? Right. So it was, I love doing videography, putting videos together. I love recording building my customs, making the quick montage videos and stuff. And I started doing some recap videos at some of the conventions. It gained in popularity from LA to Vegas. And so we're coming into Vegas, and we all got our approved time off from work. Tony Ya is his name. That's why we call him Ya. But Ya was approved, and he had his big old mustache. And we each have our different looks, right? And we went to, last year in LA was our first year going to the dinner when Matt Gabe was awarded. And we're like, let's dress to impress. Let's all get the same shirt. We get on Google, find some Hot Wheels shirt from China. It takes a month to get here, and we sent the link to everybody. We all got it, and then of course we all got the Paul George shoes, and so we're like, let's go in style. And so then we're out there, and when you're a videographer, when you're trying to piece together a trip or whatever it is, it's getting little shots here and there. And so I was like, we need some hero shots of us walking around in our suits and stuff like that, or us getting ready. And that's right when the Kendrick Lamar, video was going. I was like, bro, I got it. Let's do this. Let's walk in with some swagger and style. And ironically enough, 90% of that was filmed during the dinner, the awards, but we all had to sneak out individually because we couldn't all get up in our same outfits and leave at the same time. So we all like sneak out the back curtain and then go upstairs because we needed to do it when no one was there.
Right.
So while everyone was at dinner,
tunnel.
yeah, when everyone was at dinner, we ran up to the tunnel, ran up to the sky bridge. And so, yeah, we like to have fun and we're loud and
sure,
either you love us or you hate us. So
yeah,
we're okay with both.
Right. Hey, engagement's engagement, right? That's the name of the game here on YouTube. Which I wanted to ask you about. I'm glad you mentioned the videography aspect of things, because I'm always curious at what point you take this from being, oh, this is a thing I collect, to this is a thing I create content about. So what was it that sparked you to first pick up a camera?
That's a really good question. I got my graduation gift in high school was a camera, a digital camera. And that's like right when I was switching from film to digital. And so I was taking a lot of pictures, and then I realized I can do video, started recording some stuff. So I've always liked it. And then
mostly timing.
Yeah.
Timing, right when,
Yeah. So timing. And then as far as like to me, it's part of why I collect Hot Wheels. I love to shoot them. I love to customize them. I love to, like, I can remember people, you got the Lamley group, you got Orange Diecast, you got all these influencers or whatever you want to call them, and they would get cars I had never seen, and I want to see the close-up. I want you to take the car, and I want to be able to see it, every detail. That's what I love to do when I get the cars, is I want to look at it, drool over it. So to be able to shoot them, to be able to share that, I get a lot of enjoyment out of, because I know people like it as well. Especially when you're talking some of the rare cars, like the Mattel Creations, the collaboration ones, or I got the Fearless at the 500. Do you guys remember the Fearless at the 500 with Tanner Faust did that big jump over the Indy 500 or whatever?
Yep.
And they had an exclusive car, and I won that one. And I remember shooting it, and like a lot of people hadn't even seen it or knew anything about it. So to be able to give them that experience of seeing the details and the packaging and et cetera. So I think it's just all encompassing of the hobby in general. I love to shoot them too. So,
and customizing. So what was the first car that you ever took a drill to?
That's a good question. It was a main line. I think it was, actually, I might have it over here. Give me 2 seconds. Let me try and find it.
No worries.
I can find mine right here.
I was going to say, Warren, I want to know
jump
yours
in
too. This is a question for the whole crew.
So I have to break it down a little bit. So Ian has won a number of awards, and I knew I had some sort of little, I'd say, grain of talent, because like I was in art school, or not art school. I took art in high school, and I considered I would sketch and stuff. So I'm like, not like our brother-in-law, who's actually an artist, but I knew I had some stuff in me. But like, this is the first one that I did. One of the first ones that I tried was this one, where I thought, really cool to put the big fat tires on.
Yeah. NASCAR tires on it.
And then here's another one. So these are the first two that I attempted, and I would say I would, let's just say I've come like the wheel just came off. I've come a long way.
Oh no!
Since that, but I give Ian credit, because he's like, you just got to do it, right? That's like, you see a lot of those YouTube videos, people are like, how do I get started or whatever? It's like, you just got to attempt to drill a car, and if you mess up, it's okay, because you're going to find out next time it's a little bit easier. So
yeah, was this something you did fairly recently, or were you customizing way back?
Within the last 3 years. Yeah.
Okay.
So those are the first two I started with, and then that Thunder Roller was one of the latest ones I did, and then I got a couple. And
you got shown the mule.
The mule. Oh yeah, the mule is. Let's see if I can.
So he won
change this
won
camera.
Vegas for this one. Put him on
So
the
this
map.
one, this was my first.
That's what I was about to ask.
nice.
I saw somebody got a trophy.
Yeah, there it is right there. So I was pretty pumped about that. Honestly, I wasn't expecting it per se. It was an idea that I got watching Gas Monkey Garage.
Sure.
That's based on an actual car that sold at Barrett Jackson for $750K. So you can actually find it. I can't remember what it was called, but I saw that in a video, and I was like, oh man, I gotta make that. That is like so cool. That mine doesn't do it justice, but yeah, that was pretty cool to get that one.
Heck
Nice.
yeah.
It's been awesome to see his progression too. It is cool to be able to see what people come up with and customizing. So yeah, it was before Instagram. We had Facebook, and there was a car I'd never seen before, and I hit him up. I'm like, yo, where'd you get this? I think it was actually on the trade boards back in the day. And they're like, oh, I made it. And I'm like, what? Like, you made it? What does that even mean? So then customizing, okay, so you can customize, you take it apart. And I didn't even have a drill or nothing. Same thing was worn. Like, actually, they canceled our art program by the time I was around, but I always enjoyed art. I did metal shop, wood shop. So while everyone else was like welding like a trailer together, like I was welding a little art man, you know what I mean? Like, So ironically enough, my first custom, it was a Ferrari, which now they're back. But so this was all red before, so I just painted around it black, put some real riders on it. Looks like I used super glue to piece it back together, which is
Absolutely
super classy. And that's kind of how it started. And I was doing that a little bit. And then there was a guy from Jersey, and his customs were phenomenal. And he's like, hey, I'm going to create a Facebook page where customizers can come on and share best practices. We'll do some competitions. And I was like, man, this sounds awesome. So it was real tight knit. We had at most 25 people in the group. And in fact, if you weren't like participating, we would just kick you out. Like, you're not in it. You're here to like just get secrets. You're not. So we'd have like 2 or 3 custom contests a year. And I grew so much in there, and little competitions, and we do little prizes. It actually got heated at one point because people were like editing their final photos and sending them in, and I kind of got an eye for that. And I was like, yo, like, that's not what your car looks like. So anyways, so I was customizing, and then there was a competition online. Diecast Heroes actually put it on, one of their first ones, and it was actually Superfly magazine back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Superfly magazine, they didn't even have Diecast Heroes yet. They put it on the competition, and submit your cars, and you win prizes. And I was like, this is amazing. And I submitted the bat slug. So it's like front end is combi, the back end kind of sloops down like a slug, and it's black, and I threw little bat wings on it. I thought it was the coolest car. Like, I was like, man, I'm gonna do so well in this competition, and everyone hated it. They're like, this thing is like, it's not a real Hot Wheel, or it's not a real car. It's unrealistic. I'm like, that's the point. It's art, man. And like, no one for a long time really, or not, I won't say no one, but not many people really understood my style. It's different. And I'm trying to think like out of the box. And so that's why like that didn't go too well. Then the prizes, there was like some hiccups in shipping it out. And that's also, we can segue in a minute into our competition. That's why we ended up doing our competition. And I got a gang of prizes over here ready to ship out for that. But so that's when the convention, I was like, I want to go to the convention. And we were actually going to go the year before that, but I didn't have the newsletter. So then I wasn't able to pick up the tickets, and I didn't know they sold out in seconds. I'm like,
oh yeah,
gosh, I got to wait a whole nother year. Like, this is so stupid. The system was broken, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
I won't disagree with that.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's essentially how I got started, and it's therapy for me. I go in the garage for an hour or two and tinker and work through all the crap of the job and everything else. So
yeah. Chuck will tell you he was 120 seconds late to the Hot Wheels Nationals ticket drop. Can we go back to Vegas for 1 second, Ian? Because did I see one of the coolest collaborations I've ever seen with you and Lee Allen in Nuclear Minds? Talk about that.
It was like an out-of-body experience working with that man. So Lee Allen is literally a legend, living legend. If you somehow out there are living under a rock and don't know who Lee is, like, you're crazy. But no, yeah. So we met Lee. It was our first convention, Warren, right? Yeah, we walk into his room and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like my safe haven. Like, this room is amazing. It's art, it's Hot Wheels, and I think actually we were drooling over a pair of J's. So Warren was talking about being a thrifter. Him and my other brother, they've got, I don't know, 1,000 pairs of shoes, like just more shoes than you would ever need. You know what I mean? Because they're all collectibles. But so Lee had made some custom shoes and we walk in and just like, I was blown away. Right. So we stayed in there for probably a couple hours just talking about customs, talking about building. It was really cool because he was giving us tips, and that was my first convention. So I brought my cars down to go in. I brought like 5, like way too many. And I'm like, oh, this is what I'm putting in. And he was like, he loved my work, which was flattering. He's like, I've never seen anyone do anything like this. I was like, I've never seen anyone do what you're doing. So that was like 3 years. And then somehow, actually, I think it was Lee was like, yo, we should collaborate on something at some point. And then the following year, we said it again, and we said, okay, we're actually going to do it. And then we went on the hunt for some cars. And that's when we made the little nuclear, what did we call it, Warren? The infection. Made nuclear that infection. And then, and we made 10 of them, I think, or 6 of them. I don't even remember now, with a couple chase. And then this last one, yeah.
The Fire and Ice.
Yeah.
Collab.
A lot of buzz about this one.
Yeah. So we pretty much the artwork is phenomenal, second to none, but I respect when I talked about that first competition with Superfly magazine I tried to get into, and people not understanding my work. It's similar with him. Like, he's got that brain that just like, I want to go, like, here's like the mold, I want to break out of it. And so I thought that seen before. Yeah, I thought that way too in a lot of aspects. And so it's really cool collaborating with him and like, well, what if we did this? And we're literally sending each other like little sketches. What if we did this and this? And pretty much he's like, I want your style on one side, I want mine on the other, kind of a yin and yang. Like, I just want to like break a car apart and throw a bunch of spikes and stuff into it. So yeah, it turned out amazing. Like, yeah, I honestly, I get speechless about it because I just don't like, it was just one of the coolest experiences. So
yeah, I remember seeing that, Chuck. Do you remember lots of people always at the table when we were walking the floor when we were doing our shows?
Yeah. Thank you. It was honestly a pretty fun experience to like a couple of guys that bought them and then recognized me. Hey, can you sign it for me? And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. Yes, I'll sign it.
That's awesome. You have a really unique style. I did want to ask you about your customs because I do customs myself, and I was just curious where the steampunk love came from, and was that art class where you really started messing with metal, because you have a very unique look and you use a lot of real metal in your builds.
Yeah, I do. I love the metal side of things. I do understand and respect the 3D printers and those that do that, and especially those that are creating their own designs for 3D print. That's pretty wild to think about, right? Not just going and finding the file. So yeah, metal and woodshop growing up. And then, like I was saying, I was in that group, and Jimmy, he ended up passing away, but he used a lot of metal. And so he almost became like a bit of a mentor for me in the customizing game of what tools I should get, when I should, or what kinds of metal. And our competitions that we would have themes, right? A Batmobile theme, a UTE theme, trucks. I think we did Volkswagen one time. And I'd say once a year we came back and did another steampunk theme because me and Jimmy liked it so much. And so it just like steampunk, and then you sprinkle in a little bit of Mad Max or post-apocalyptic. My Batmobile, like, it was all bloody and like the paint was all splattered, like he just like mowed down a bunch of zombies. So in my mind, I'm trying to like think outside the box with it, but the Mad Max steampunk genre, it resonates. It sits in my head rent free, and I'm always like, what else could I do with it?
It's great. And you've definitely changed people's minds about not getting it because you've got quite a lot of hardware on your shelf now to prove that what you're doing. So
Thank you. Yeah. The first one that we went out, I competed as amateur because it was my first competition. And I mentioned going out into the garage and it being therapeutic. After my dad passed away, I went out into the garage and I tinkered for like a month. And then I came out with that Steampunk one that I won amateur with that first year. And ever since then, it's like it just kind of keeps pulling me back to it. So,
yeah. And you had the, speaking of the Steampunk VW, you had a video of that went just a little bit viral. Like, what was that like to wake up one day and go from
like COVID,
a couple hundred views to almost 1 million views?
Yeah, the one on YouTube.
Yeah.
That one was crazy, and that was. I was working at Verizon and the Samsung rep came in and he's like, hey, I got this YouTube called Tech with Brett. You should follow. I was like, all right. So I pop on and he's like, wait, what? You got like so many views, like 30,000 views on this one. And again, same thing. That was like those videos of my customs were like slideshow videos, like not a video of me making it, but like I took a bunch of progression photos and put it together. And I was like, oh, really? Like I didn't even like really. It was like I uploaded it and forgot about it. He's like, are you monetizing it? And I was like, I don't even know what that means. So he helped me do all that years ago. And that one was among those videos that he helped me like understand captivating people.
Sure.
So yeah, to see that one and it went up over 1 million. And that was even again before like you could upload videos on Instagram. Like it was all pictures on Instagram before. And so that was like pretty cool. And now 1 million views on Instagram is like, it's not as cool as like 1 million was on YouTube back in the day. So
sure. Yeah. But that's gotta be rewarding to go, hey, it's nice to see my work getting appreciated and you've had quite a few videos do really well on YouTube, and I know you've tore it up on Instagram. Do you feel like Instagram is the better platform now for Diecast?
Yeah. I mean, YouTube's cool, but like, I don't know. There's something a little bit more instant and like community wise with Instagram than on YouTube. I get people, which I don't know. I guess you can message me on YouTube, but I'm not going to see it. I don't even know where to look, to be honest.
Sure.
But on Instagram, a quick DM like, hey, how'd you do this? Or someone tagging or whatever. And I mean, a lot of the homies that we meet out at conventions and stuff, it's like, yo, we're on Instagram. And I'm like, oh, let me follow. I'm like, oh, I'm already following you. The issue with Diecast fellows is that a lot of them don't show their face. They just show cars. Sure. So I meet you in person and I'm like, oh, I had no idea what you look like. So I try to break the mold a little bit as far as the Weber brothers and trying to, a little bit of face. You can see the characters.
Don't touch that dial. Diecast Breakdown will be right back after these messages. Diecast Breakdown is produced in partnership with Twice Diecast and Driven Dreams Org on YouTube. Check out their channels in the video description and subscribe for more epic Diecast content.
Hey, this is Larry Wood.
This is Derek from Honest Diecast.
Hey, this is Chad Reed from Round 2.
This is Mike from Gaslands.
The SRT Joe Vita Show.
This is Champion DJ K.
This is Mad Vision here.
This is Diecast Dude.
And you're watching Diecast Breakdown.
And now, the thrilling conclusion of this week's episode of Diecast Breakdown.
Let's talk about the Weber brothers. Warren, as the elder statesman, I'm going to go to you first. What is the Weber brothers brand? When I say that, what does that trigger in your head? And what do you want to do with that to make this hobby better? Is there a plan for that? Or are y'all just flying by the seat of your pants, showing up at these conventions?
Yeah, no, I think the Weber brothers as a whole is, I think we're trying to push out this community of customizing and trying to bring in customizers from not just locally, but all over the world. And this competition that we're putting on for the third year, we're trying to streamline and make it, how can we make it easier for people you don't have to physically send in your car and worry about getting it back. You just send pictures and you send a brief summary of what you did. And so as Weber Brothers as a whole, that's what we're trying to promote is this community of customizing and that anybody can enter. We've got we've got a lot of prizes. A lot of people have seen what we've done and have backed us, including Lee. He's one of the judges. So we've got some guys from Hot Tales, some actual designers come in and help us judge. So it's not personally what I like or what Ian likes or what James likes. We all have a little say in what we think is a really cool custom and who deserves the title per se.
How can people get in on this?
Ian, do you want to take that one?
Sure. You mentioned YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. We are on all the platforms, but Instagram seems to be kind of the melting pot for a lot of customizers, which is actually, if you think about some of the older generation customizers, there's been guys at the convention. I'm like, who are you? I was like, do you have an Instagram or YouTube or something I can follow? They're like, I don't know what that is. I'm like, oh my gosh, my guy. Like, if you would just put your content online, people would love it because this is amazing. So we try to hit all the platforms, but my Instagram, so DJI Web, it's the pinned comment at the top, and then the rules are in my bio. But we post it on Facebook too. We post it on YouTube. But to piggyback off of Warren, when you think about this community it's interesting. There's some aspects of it that are a little touchy and like can be negative, the scalping side and things like that. But then there's like this huge side to it that's like culture and car culture, diecast culture. I went out and did the Mattel, the Revealed, right? Mm-hmm. And they kind of quarter me into talking about my dad, which I get emotional, and what's it mean to collect diecast cars. And what it does is it pulls at your heartstrings. It pulls at those memories as a kid. Like for us, it was, these are affordable presents that my parents can get the kids, right? So as a little boy, I want a toy car. It's $1. Here you go. You can have 8 or 9 of them. And that was like my birthday. And I was like hyped on it, right? So there's a lot of positivity in Hot Wheels and diecast and car culture. And we're trying to continue and push that forward. And what we saw was that there was a gap where artists or custom diecast builders, because I found the gap because I couldn't compete when I wanted to. I felt like I was a high caliber artist wanting to compete against other custom diecast artists. And so I couldn't go to the conventions at the time. So I was like, well, what if we create our own competition? And again, I pulled a little bit from that Facebook group from years ago. I'm talking 15, 14, 13 years ago when we would compete in there. And that's what we would do. We would submit our photos. We would have judges in the group judge, and we go from there. So this and actually there was one in, I think it was like China or somewhere crazy, Japan, I don't know. And it was, hey, you can enter this competition. You got to mail us your car, and then we'll put it on display at this convention or this auto group, whatever. And that's it. So I'm like, wait, so you're keeping my customs? Like, you're crazy. And so I pitched it to the brothers. When I was like, what if we did this? We got pictures, and I had submitted and gotten into Diecast Heroes magazines, I don't know, 4 or 5 times, and knew Tony and Carmen. And I reached out and I said, hey, we want to host one. What do you think about putting it in the magazine? And they loved it. They're like, well, absolutely, we want to do it. We'll call it the competition issue. And Ian, if you can run it, then just give us the stuff. And now as I'm looking back, I'm like, man, they're getting a good end of this deal. Like, I'm just sending them a gang of content for this magazine. No, I'm just kidding, Tony, Carmen, I'm kidding. And yeah, I mean, the rest is history. So to sum up what Warren said, like, we're trying to keep that positivity going forward in the diecast community. And we see an opportunity to do that with customs. We see that an opportunity to do that when we're at conventions and bring the hype, bring the fun, like not create drama in the rooms as we're nickel and diming over cars to buy and this and that. It's like, and it's funny because at times we all kind of check each other, like, hey, Warren, like, let that one go for cheap because the guy needs it or the guy wants it. Or, hey, yeah, I can't tell you how many times my other brother has signed me up to make a custom for somebody. I'm like, bro, you have no idea what it takes to build a custom.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but at the end of the day, it's just positivity in the community.
No, I agree. I feel like customs are almost the saving grace of the hobby because they're it's very easy to get wrapped up in the, oh, well, it's this grade level of case, and oh, I had it graded, and I had this is this of that or whatever. And at the end of the day, almost all of these are they're cars, they're toys. And I used to say, I don't say this anymore, but I used to say I would never own a car I wouldn't drill. And I've had some people give me very special cars now, so I wouldn't drill those. But for
you
me,
wouldn't drill this one.
I would drill that one with a 1/2-inch bit until there was nothing left.
Disrespectful.
And I just think it's a great way of doing expression and getting stuff out there that I like. That especially with Hot Wheels, they're small. There's a ton of things you can do with them. You can do steampunk like you do, or the insane detail that Yogi does over at Jakarta Diecast Project, or locally. What I love seeing, there's a Tampa customizing scene. There's like Richard Vasquez and Billet Tony Customs and Mad Visions, and they get together once a month at a paint shop, and they show off these beautiful airbrushed. They're all like lowrider customizers and stuff. So they've got like all the like glass paint and the amazing no decals but incredible detailed lace work and stuff on these 1/64 scale cars. And I think there's really no wrong way to customize. You can as long as it's your thing. And some of my most prized ones are not the rare ones. They're the ones that people have made, and I've either given them to me or I've bought them, and those are true one of ones. And they and like you said, like I briefly like got the crazy idea when I saw Jakarta. I was like, oh, maybe I could be like one of these people that customizes diecasts and you make a living. Not for the amount of time that you put into these things. People will not pay what they're worth time wise unless you're a super duper famous Navy, and even then, those cars are not going for what that person put into them.
Chuck, and I think we're also, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the benefit. Our hobby is becoming more and more social. We're all tapped in, and we've all got tags for different socials. But our hobby offers that chance to get alone in that workshop and work on that car and really calm your mind. And man, in this day and age, how bad do we need that? So what a fantastic hobby we have. Can we just real quickly, Ian or Warren, one of you, just give us some dates on when is this custom contest going to happen? When do people have to have their stuff done? Just real quick.
Yeah, so you have to have in your entry by the end of July. So
okay, plenty of time, guys.
Yeah, July 30th. So it was going to be the end of, where's my mouse at? There we go. Let me just verify that date. It was going to be the end of May, but we extended it because some builders wanted to build a brand new build for this. Now, mind you, we're here every year. So ironically enough, if you guys head out to LA, which you should, I've already got my custom ready for LA. So as a customizer, you kind of your future thinking, and ideally, when you think about the Weber Brothers competition, this is year 3. Guess what? We're going to be back for year 4. So get your head right this winter as you're in the shop or whatnot.
There's no theme, right? Like it's anything that you want to put in.
No theme, no amateur, no pro. It's one big melting pot of all the best customizers in the world, and it is worldwide. I think last year we had, what was it, like 29 countries represented, Warren, something like that.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And one of the big draws is that you get to be in the magazine if you submit. Everybody who submits gets to be in the magazine, and then you get to be immortalized in a magazine, right? I mean, if for nothing else, if you might not crack the top 10 or whatever, but to say, hey, look, I was in this magazine.
Sure.
I'm on page 32. That's mine. That's mine.
Yeah, I've had a few of mine in there. It's a great feeling. It's really
that's
fun.
Cool enough for me.
Yeah, exactly. And you're helping move the hobby forward. You're engaging with other people and you're bettering yourself for it. I think it's a very zen thing, a meditative thing. It calms me when I work on them. I'm looking forward to getting back to doing customs again. I was very excited to hear about the date change because I will be moving the end of June. So I might be able to have my shop a little bit set up and do some building by then. I'm usually pretty quick on mine because I'm not a heavy duty fabricator. I'm more a paint and finish person. So I do weathered stuff. So I prefer to do things that look like realistic cars that have aged and stuff. So my stuff doesn't really win a lot. I did win it the 2024 Collector Nationals in 24. I came in second for a diorama I made,
Awesome.
but thank you. And so that was a good feeling. But
I haven't won anything.
That's all right.
You haven't entered anything, David.
It's
you got
coming
to enter
down.
if you're
It's
going to
coming,
win.
David. It's coming.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, David. Anyway,
That's correct.
I've got a few of David's customs. I like them a lot. They're very special to me. But yeah, and I think, again, folks, if you haven't checked out, first of all, go check out DJI Web and Punk Retro and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But also check out our friends Tony and Carmen over at Diecast Heroes Magazine. It's an amazing project. I'm so glad that thing exists. This project would not be where it is now without Tony and Carmen, because they were the one.
First guest.
Second guest. Your buddy was the first guest.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah, we had a pilot episode, and then we were like, hey, we're doing this thing. And we showed it to Tony and Carmen. They're like, yeah, we'll be on your show. And because of them, we got a whole bunch of other guests, and it really kind of took off from there. So we're very grateful to them for helping us out and giving us free publicity without us asking for it. And so it's a great thing for the community. Even if you're not a customizer, it's a fun magazine. It's full of really fun content, and it's got a lot of really cool cars to look at and to learn about. Vendors like Hayden over at HHW Customs. Great dude doing amazing stuff. You were talking about 3D printing, and that dude designs every single one of those things himself. It's 100% unique to the hobby, and he's doing awesome stuff with Cartoon and with Hot Wheels, and
he's one of our sponsors, by the way.
Yeah, you can win some of his prizes, and they're great.
Awesome.
He sells a lot of really, really cool stuff. So anyway, check that out, folks. And before we wrap things up, Ian, anything else you want to go over real quick? Because I know we're at time.
Yeah, I would just add real quick with this custom competition that I have got a gang of prizes in my house ready to be shipped out, from Cartooned. We got Hot Wheels. We got M2 sent us the biggest box, and they're all chase cars.
Yeah.
Again, Hayden sent us a bunch of stuff. We got Tyrone at Rim Riders. The winner's going to get a custom longboard made by them. You get 250 Protectos from Sterling Protectos. Again, Nuclear Minds is in on this. You get 100 custom stickers with either your logo or your diecast on it. Like, there is so many prizes.
Did you just go to every table in Vegas?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm kissing babies and shaking hands out there, and honestly, now it's the third year, so it's pretty cool. As I just sent them an email and I said, hey, I'm doing it again, and they're like, all right, what do you need?
We're in.
Yeah, and this is the first year that M2 joined in. Sean was
good
awesome.
on Sean. Yep.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm in, and I was like, I got one more question. Would you be a judge for us? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like,
nice.
Oh, that is so cool. So
yeah,
Sean's gonna be a judge. We got Matt Gabe and Dwayne Vance from Hot Wheels. They're judges.
Nice.
Of course, the Weber brothers are gonna be on there judging. So Lee will be judging, trying to make
a big deal.
First, that's to be judged by an actual designer of diecast.
Yeah. No pressure.
Yeah.
Custom trophies too to the winners. So
that's right.
You get to put that on your mantle, so to speak, or in your garage, wherever.
Nice.
Yeah. But no, man, Chuck, David, appreciate you guys having us out and being able to spread some more awareness of the opportunity for customizers to get in the magazine, win some cool prizes. It's free to enter worldwide. We'll ship it to China, Japan, Germany, which we have done. So,
all right, folks. Well, you check that out, and make sure you pop over to DJI Web on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, and follow Diecast Heroes so you can keep tabs on this really cool project. But again, Ian, Warren, thank you so much for being on. Like I said, I've had you guys on my radar for a long time. I was thrilled to see y'all in Vegas, and glad we could finally make this happen. So thanks again for being here. We'll hopefully have you back home when we got some more brothers to join the show. So
yes, sir.
All right.
That's good.
Thank you. And thank you, watchers, listeners, wherever you are, for making it to the end of another episode of Diecast Breakdown. Again, we want to thank our patrons that make the show go. If you want to join their ranks, you can visit diecastbreakdown.com and find links to all our stuff, including drivendreams.org, which is where we are going to raise 25,000 cars for kids in need, wherever and whenever they are.
Worldwide.
So
we're Mr. Worldwide.
We are
Forget
Mr.
Pitbull.
Worldwide. Forget
we
305.
Mr. Worldwide.
Exactly. So check that out and make sure you're punching the little like and subscribe. And if you really like this episode, give it a share and tell some friends about us, because that's the best way to help people find out about us. And if you're listening to the show, like some people do, I think Warren told me he listens to it from time to time, make sure you rate us 5 stars in your favorite podcast app. That really helps us get discovered over there in audio land. But if you're over there listening to us, check us out on YouTube, because you can actually see what we're talking about, and it makes the show like at least 50% better.
Might see a PT Cruiser too.
You might see a PT Cruiser. You're missing out on all these great jokes of us like popping PT Cruisers on the screen. But yeah, so check us out there. And if you're driving, don't watch us while you're driving. Listen to us on the podcast app. And as always, we want to thank you for coming along with us for the ride. And so until next time, stay fresh, cheese bags.
Thanks for listening to Diecast Breakdown. If you enjoyed today's show, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and tell a friend to listen in. Find Diecast Breakdown on your favorite social media platforms, or visit diecastmedianetwork.com to learn more about this and our other projects. Diecast Breakdown is a presentation of Flying Valiant and the Diecast Media Network.